But there was a reason that this really became a need back in the 90s. We dealt with a hurricane. It was called Hurricane Floyd. Hurricane Floyd never made landfall in Florida, but because it was approaching so close to the East Coast, it produced one of the largest evacuations in Florida's history. Over 2 million people evacuated from their local communities, oftentimes not sure where they were going and not knowing what was going on once they left their homes. Because we'd always told people to tune to your local station for emergency information. But when you've been on the road for several hours, traffic's moving at 5 miles an hour, the sky's getting dark, and you don't know where that hurricane is, and you don't know how far it is to get somewhere safe. It demonstrated to us that we need to do a better job of how do you communicate with people once they've got on the road. Public radio became the answer. If you've noticed, if you ever driven around, you ever see the evacuation signs on the interstates and highways? Do you always notice what's at the base of that? It's a radio station, right? Every one of them is a public radio station. Florida Public Radio Networks got together and said, we'll be that voice when people evacuate to give them updated information about what's going on, but more importantly, about where they're going, where hotels and motels are, where there's shelter, where there may be fuel, so that they wouldn't be cut off from that information. And in today's world, you may think, well, that's kind of nice. That's kind of like ancient history. We all have phones now. We stream our media. We stream our music. Radio's kind of an outdated thing. Until you deal with congestion, until you deal with spot coverage, until you deal with the fact that oftentimes the only signal that can get through in a disaster is a radio signal. And with all of your technology, once the internet is jammed or goes out, how do you get that important information about what you need to take care of yourself and your family? And it's going to be radio. So this idea of coordinating now and adding even more content to the ability to get the word out to the public both before, during, and after disaster is really, to me, the evolution of how do we continue to build upon the expertise and capabilities that our public radio stations have to ensure that Brian and his team, as well as local officials, can get the word out to the public in the time of a crisis. That phone works really good until it doesn't have a signal or rings busy. But that radio may save your life.